Hello, hello. If everyone can go ahead and start getting settled. We are live here in the room. We're also live on our social media streams as well. So I'm very, very excited. I'll give people about 30 more seconds to start getting back to their seats here in the room. And also if you're virtual as well, if you were getting a quick snack before we started. You will now have the opportunity to reflect in case you like to meditate, maintain a sense of pride for this country yourself, and or any other spiritual or other rituals that help you to feel prepared to be in this space as a delegate for the next minute. All right, and now we will have a video from our treasurer.
Hello, my name is Brandon Lee Wolf, and I serve as the YLD Treasurer. I practice commercial litigation and employment litigation in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Florida, and DC. First, I'd like to give you a brief update on the YLD's finances. Our most recent financial report showed that the YLD had a positive variance compared to our budget, which is the continuation of a positive trend based on reduced travel over the last year. I'd also like to give you an update on the work of our Finance Board. We have continued to work with the Fund for Justice and Education, or FJE, to find new partners to support the YLD. We have been in touch with over 25 companies and are planning a second meeting with one particular company to solidify a future sponsorship for next year. As my term as treasurer comes to a close, I'd like to reflect on the work that the Finance Board has accomplished over the last 2 years. We organized the YLD's participation for the first time in ABA Giving Day, strengthened our relationship with FJE, and developed a new muscle by starting a campaign of giving within the YLD. We've also updated the YLD's budget and reimbursement policies and publicized the option for members to receive YLD publications in a digital format to save printing and postage. Finally, we have increased the visibility of the Finance Board, which has been meeting monthly, and I have provided updates at council meetings and assembly meetings. I look forward to the Finance Board continuing to move the division forward in the coming years. Thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of the annual meeting.
Welcome, everyone. Before we begin, we would like to take the opportunity to go through voting instructions for today's meeting.
Good morning, everyone. Now is your opportunity to log into the voting system. If you're using either your iPad, computer, or cell phone, please go ahead and go to your browser and type in www.ttpoll.com. You'll then be directed to a page that looks like this. In the session ID, type in YLD22 Annual. Again, that's YLD22 Annual. You'll then be directed to the next. Here you will enter the email that you have on file with Young Lawyers and the password that Shasta sent you. That will take you into the voting. You'll currently see either a duplicate of this slide or something that's please wait. To vote, you'll simply highlight by pushing the button at the bottom of the screen, and it'll turn blue. If you make a mistake, you'll simply press your alternate choice before the time runs out, and it will be received. It takes you to the last vote.
Thank you. We will now have the opportunity to go through 2 test questions. The first question is, because we're in Chicago, do you like Chicago-style deep dish pizza? There's only one right answer. If you agree, please respond by answering yes to the poll. If you do not agree, please respond with no. And if you abstain, please do so in the poll. Cast your vote now. I like y'all. 63 yeses, 23 noes, and 6 abstentions. Thank you. We will now go through our Assembly Code of Conduct. After reviewing the slide, we will have the opportunity to practice using our voting software again. Delegates, please take the next 30 seconds to review the Code of Conduct. Okay. You will now have 10 seconds to cast your vote. If you agree to the following Assembly Code of Conduct, please respond by answering yes to the poll. Cast your votes now. Thank you. 99 yeses, 0 noes, and 1 abstention. Thank you for agreeing to the Code of Conduct. And now we will hear from Council Delegate Katrina Castillo, Marketing and Communications Director from Washington, D.C., who will give us some tips on social media engagement for today's hybrid assembly.
Welcome to the 2022 YLD Annual Assembly. We know today's debate is going to be extremely exciting and lively, so we want you to engage with us on social media using our hashtags YLD Assembly and YLD Annual. And now, from New Delhi, India, I hope you all have a wonderful assembly.
Thank you, Katrina, for those insightful tips. Happy Saturday to everyone, and welcome to our first ever hybrid assembly. My name is Abray Connor, she, her pronouns, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the YLD Assembly Speaker this year. I live in Sacramento, California, and I serve there as the Director for the Center for Environmental and Climate Justice for the NAACP. Thank you to our staff, Sylvia Knox, Bree Jones, Donna Nesbitt, Austin, Stephen, and more, along with our third-party vendors, Meeting Tomorrow, and Turney, as we are broadcasting live to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, as well as hosting delegates live here in Chicago. I am so excited to actually see your faces in person for an assembly after nearly 2 years. And I'm even more excited that those of you who are unable to join us in person are joining us online. I know that this will ultimately broaden our reach as a division. I am looking forward to highlighting the great work that our membership is doing and also hear resolutions regarding timely issues for young lawyers. It's hard to believe that so much has happened in 2 years, and I am so proud of the conversations that we are having within this association and within this division that has allowed for us to even have such an exciting agenda here today that reflects the thoughts and the vision of young lawyers across the country. Happy August. Now, the moment we have all been waiting for. Our 2022 first ever hybrid annual assembly has now come to order. The Assembly of the Young Lawyers Division for the 2022 annual meeting of the American Bar Association is now in session. The first order of business, the Speaker recognizes YLD Clerk Shasta Inman from Albuquerque, New Mexico, for our credentials report.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, Assembly members. As Clerk and Chair of the Credentials Board, I have certified 148 delegates for this meeting. A quorum is 75 certified delegates. The list of delegates who have been certified for assembly is in my custody and is available for inspection during the meeting by any delegate. This roll of delegates is the official roll of voting members of the Assembly. I would like to congratulate the following affiliates, both state and national, for having full delegations for this Assembly. Iowa, where's Iowa? I think they're all remote because we're doing hybrid. So good job, Iowa. Mississippi, I know we have in-person Mississippi and some hybrid. North Carolina, they might also, oh, there they are. And South Carolina. Carolinas are turning out, as well as the National Bar Association. Certified delegates who participate on social media Twitter using the hashtag ABAYLD and hashtag YLDAssembly during our 3 resolution debates will be entered into a drawing near the close of assembly. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Continuing in our tradition from mid-year assembly, we will have an acknowledgement of stolen land in the interest of our diversity, equity, and inclusion goals. We will also do an enslaved labor acknowledgement. Given that we are all still learning about this practice, here's Professor Elizabeth Middleton with the Department of Native American Studies to discuss these next 2 agenda items.
Hello, my name is Beth Rose Middleton Manning, and I am a professor in the Department of Native American Studies at University of California, Davis. I am so impressed by the American Bar Association's development of a land acknowledgement and an acknowledgement of enslaved labor. These acknowledgements are essential as they recognize a history that we collectively as Americans share. Our nation is founded upon the theft of indigenous land and the theft and exploitation of African American labor. It is only through acknowledgement that we can begin to build the relationships for a better future that does not take exploitation for granted and does not perpetuate systems of colonialism, racism, and erasure. Our offices, our universities, our homes sit within Indigenous homelands. Too often, those homelands as Indigenous places go unacknowledged. And that means that the Indigenous peoples who are still here are often not recognized, not included, not supported in their work to maintain relationship to responsibility to care for their homelands. Also, I think it's imperative that we recognize that the theft of land and the theft of labor created systems that we either benefit from or still feel the burdens of a legacy of not being able to pass down the fruits of labor, could be financial, for example, as well as homelands and knowledge for caring for them. These acknowledgements are a first step in really honoring the struggles of those who have come before us and beginning to think deeply about where we, in our different practices as educators, as attorneys, as American citizens and community members, where we fit within that history of exploitation and how our work can contribute to liberation, to justice, to recognition, and moving towards some form of reconciliation, moving towards finding ways to address the extension of the harms of the past that still exist in the present with the lack of acknowledgement of Indigenous lands and of stolen African American labor. So these acknowledgements are the beginning of a conversation, the first step to building relationships across, within, and between communities, and working together to create a future that really upholds ideals of fairness and equality. Again, I commend the American Bar Association for developing these historic acknowledgements of stolen land and stolen labor. And I hope this is part of a larger movement, not only to acknowledge these histories, but to think very clearly about the ways in which we either continue to benefit and or suffer from them, and how we address the impacts of those histories in our current work, society, families, and communities. Thank you for the opportunity to comment, and thank you to the Bar Association for leading the way in developing these important acknowledgements of stolen land and stolen labor. I look forward to next steps, to thinking beyond these acknowledgements to what we do to address these ongoing impacts today. Thank you.
And now we will have NANABA delegate Heather Torres to lead us in our first in-person stolen land acknowledgement.
Good morning. Yat Ebene. Heather Torres na Akawai. My name is Heather Torres. I'm a citizen of San Alfonso Pueblo and a descendant of the Navajo Nation and Mexican peoples. I currently serve as one of the National Native American Bar Association delegates to this assembly and as a leader of the Native American Concerns Committee of the ABA section of Civil Rights and Social Justice. I thank the YLD Council and all those responsible for establishing a land acknowledgement practice for this assembly. For the first time, land acknowledgements will be practiced throughout the ABA annual meeting, including at opening ceremonies and the opening of the House of Delegates session on Monday. This is especially impactful as we welcome in the first Native American woman as our future ABA president, Mary Smith, in her hometown of Chicago. Today's assembly is held on a historic place for meeting, trading, and economics. The city of Chicago, formerly known at one time as Chicago, sits on the edge of multiple ecosystems, including swamp, oak savanna, and prairie, with its waterways connecting the Mississippi River and the Great Lakes. Many tribal nations have called this area home, and it remains home to diverse Native people today, including one of the largest urban Native communities in the United States. I take this time to recognize the American Indian Center of Chicago for its work to foster community, promote cultural connectedness, and advocate for the needs of Native people here in the city and throughout the state. We acknowledge that a series of events, including genocide, forced removal, and treaty making, have resulted in the displacement of tribal nations indigenous to this territory, a city now known for its urban sprawl, skyscrapers, and city landscapes. The Council of Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations, the Miamiaki, Ho-Chunk, Peoria, Weya, Piankashaw, Kaskaskia, Menominee, Meskwaki, Kickapoo, and Sac and Fox, and the tribes of the Illini Confederacy and others have all played a part in caring for and molding this area. We honor that we are speaking a derivative of Anishinaabemowin, or Anishinaabe language, and other tribal languages when we say the name of this area, its surrounding lakes, and the name of the state. A testament to the strength of language and oral tradition and the enduring connections that these lands have to their ancestral caretakers. By practicing land acknowledgement during these meetings, the YLD and the ABA signal their commitment to recognizing place and the importance of being in relationship with the land. The ABA has a responsibility to continue supporting, uplifting, and affirming tribal sovereignty in its policies and continue empowering its Native members and future members of the profession. I will close by urging each of you to think about where you are and where you are going home to learn about the Indigenous communities that care for the spaces you occupy, and to reflect on how you can be a better guest on Native lands. Ahehe kunda, thank you.
Thank you so much, Heather. We really appreciate you leading our first in-person stolen land acknowledgement for the YLD Assembly. Although we started this tradition at mid-year to begin the conversation, and as you've acknowledged, this acknowledgement is only just a first step. And now we will have an acknowledgement of the labor of enslaved individuals by YLD scholar and delegate Charlene Stanberry of Washington, D.C.
We acknowledge the legacy of slavery in our region and the enslaved African people whose labor was exploited for generations to help establish the economy of our region and the United States, specifically the production and harvest of surplus crops and land cultivation. An estimated 10 million enslaved Africans were brought to the Americas beginning in the 1500s until 1867. Countless millions of Black people suffered in bondage in the United States until ratification of the 13th Amendment in 1865 abolished slavery and indentured servitude. The end of slavery was followed by a series of discriminatory and repressive laws that created a racial caste system that legitimized anti-Black racism. The gruesome legacy of slavery and the racist laws and practices that continue to be passed and implemented impact American culture and institutions at every level. The labor of enslaved individuals built many of the civic and federal institutions with which we all interact and benefit from daily. The economics of the transatlantic slave trade and the exportation of cotton allowed the United States to position itself as a leader in global trade for centuries. We acknowledge the harm that colonialism and white supremacy have brought to these lands by recognizing the land that was first taken from first Americans and the forced labor that was provided by enslaved Africans and Black people. ABA YLD's assembly is acknowledging that we understand that the foundation of our country, these United States of America, and the roots that it created in order to grow and thrive are based in colonialism, racism, and indignity. It is only by recognition and understanding these errors that were made during our nation's origins that we can hope to correct our path. The ABA YLD Assembly honors the enslaved people's contributions that lead us to be able to have this meeting.
Thank you so much, Charlene. Over the past several months, the Supreme Court has made some critical decisions that has impacted our members and delegates through their personal and work lives. Many of you have asked me what can be done, from privacy decisions regarding reproductive justice to environmental decisions. As young lawyers, we have been pondering next steps. I am proud to introduce individuals from organizations on the front lines thinking about the Dobbs decision and West Virginia versus EPA decisions. Arnita Rogers is the director of the Gender, Sexuality, and Reproductive Justice Program at the ACLU of Northern California, and she will be discussing the Dobbs decision. Then we will hear from Mustafa Ali, who is the Executive Vice President of Environmental Justice, Climate, and Community Revitalization for the National Wildlife Federation.
Hi everyone, my name is Arnita Rogers. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm the Gender, Sexuality, and Reproductive Justice Director at the ACLU of Northern California. My work focuses on the state of California, and I wanted to share a few ways that if you are concerned about reproductive rights, justice, the right to bodily autonomy, in the wake of the recent SCOTUS decision overturning nearly 50 years of precedent guaranteeing the right to abortion care, how you can plug in as an attorney, as an advocate, as someone who cares about dignity and safety of people around you to advance reproductive justice in California and maybe in other states. In California, if you're based in California, you could support state laws that would advance reproductive justice, including AB 2223, which is a law that would ensure that no one in California is investigated, prosecuted, or incarcerated for ending their pregnancy or experiencing pregnancy loss. Even in California, we've experienced people who have been criminalized for having stillbirths, and in light of the shifting political landscape, we anticipate that more people will be criminalized for pregnancy outcomes, and that's something that we as attorneys need to adamantly guard against. We should ensure that we can advocate that schools are providing comprehensive sexual health education as required by California law here. If you're based in another state, you should make sure and advocate that your state is including comprehensive sexual health education with information about abortion rights and access to sexual and reproductive health care. As an attorney or an individual advocate or person that cares, I encourage everyone to donate money directly to abortion funds. You can find funds on the National Network of Abortion Fund site. Here in California, we have one state fund. It's called Access Reproductive Justice. Abortion funds are key to providing practical support, housing, funds for housing, childcare, transportation, other types of practical supports that actually help people access the care that they need. It's going to be even more critical as people have to travel very long distances to access safe, legal, and non-stigmatized care when care has been made illegal in their state. And also we need to educate ourselves. So, during this time, we need to know that the law is just but one tool. We need to be building power, deepening our analysis, and building a cross movement, educating ourselves and those around us about abortion rights, reproductive justice, and how barriers to accessing to care disproportionately impact low-income communities and communities of Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. So I encourage you to check out, various Know Your Rights pages. In California, we have a Know Your Rights on abortion access. If people have information or people have questions, it's good to give them, most accurate information. Let them know that abortion in California is legal, safe, it's basic health care, and it's a human right.
Recently, the United States Supreme Court has made some interesting decisions in everything from voting to reproductive rights to the environment. Yes, even the environment. The most recent case, West Virginia versus EPA, asked the question, does the Environmental Protection Agency have the authority to regulate carbon? Now, before we dive into the law, we need to bring science into our conversation, because some of the top scientists from across the country, the IPCC, the National Climate Assessment, have shared with us that global temperatures have to stay below 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial times, or the planet faces significant impacts and irreversible climate disruptions. Now, in 2007, the United States Supreme Court, in a case, Massachusetts versus the Environmental Protection Agency, said that the Environmental Protection Agency has a distinct responsibility for regulating greenhouse gases, and that if it doesn't, it could be sued. In 2014, the Obama administration, seeing the climatic impacts that were happening, began to move forward on the design of the Clean Power Plan. Now, the Clean Power Plan's overall goal is to lower emissions by 32% by 2030. And they had a couple of different ways of being able to do that. One is something called inside of the fence line. So that meant that technologies could be utilized to begin to capture carbon and to begin to lower some of those emissions that are moving into our atmosphere. The other part, outside of the fence line, looked at power generation and figuring out ways of introducing cleaner forms of energy, primarily solar and wind, to be able to help to meet those overall goals, and giving the states the space and opportunity to be able to figure out the mix that work best for them to be able to meet the goals that have been set forward. Now, when the Trump administration came in, they introduced their own rule because the Clean Power Plan actually never got implemented, and the Trump administration moved forward with something called the American Clean Energy or Clean Power Plan rule, which also was never implemented. Fast forward, in 2022, the United States Supreme Court decided to move past many of the precedents that they had operated in and reach very deep down to bring forward West Virginia versus EPA. And once again, this case is about being able to make the decision if the Environmental Protection Agency has the authority to regulate carbon. Now, a part of the mix of this case is something called the major question doctrine. Now, some of you might remember what that is, and for others, maybe it's somewhat new. But the major question doctrine asks the question that in extraordinary cases, political and economic significance, agencies must point to Congress for authority. Now, we should bring forward the fact that when we see current sets of actions on Capitol Hill, that there is very little, some might say fleeting, bipartisan actions on major pieces of legislation, which means that it would make it extremely difficult for an agency to be able to meet a new problem. Now, we know agencies' role is to regulate existing and new problems. The climate crisis is a somewhat new problem that has to be addressed. The Supreme Court decided 6-3 that the Environmental Protection Agency does not have the authority to be able to regulate carbon, but that it can go back to Congress to get that authority. Now, I want to be fair. You know, the Supreme Court left room for further rulemaking by the Environmental Protection Agency, especially in the power sector, but it tightened the reins on regulatory actions by both the Environmental Protection Agency and other agencies and departments, which means that when there are new sets of challenges that move forward, it will make it much more exceedingly difficult for them to be able to move forward with any form of expediency to address those, because they will have to go back to Congress to be able to get the authority to be able to do that. It is a very interesting case that will have ripples and ramifications for decades to come. I'm Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali. Thank you for a couple of moments of your time.
All right. We will actually now do the results of the election.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good morning again, delegates. As this year's chair of the division's election committee, I present the results of our contested election for the young lawyer nominee to the ABA Board of Governors. The winner of this race will serve a 3-year term on the Board of Governors beginning in September 2023, if elected at next year's annual House of Delegates meeting. The candidates were Abray Connor of California and Christopher Jennison of Maryland. Of the 148 certified delegates for annual meeting, 123 votes were cast for this race. Votes were cast digitally over a 24-hour period and automatically tabulated by the Turning Point representative. As Elections Committee Chair, I cross-checked and verified the tally and the accuracy. Of the 123 total election votes, there were 59 votes cast for candidate Connor and 64 votes cast for candidate Jennison. Congratulations to Mr. Jennison, and thank you to both of our candidates for participating in this process.
Thank you. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic and hybrid nature of this assembly, many of the traditions we are accustomed to for assemblies simply aren't feasible. At this time, due to the fact that the following items are not possible, the Speaker will now entertain a motion to adopt the Assembly's standing rules, with the exception of Rule 1.3, subsection D, which directs the Speaker to reopen certification of delegates, and Rule 5.5 regarding removing resolutions from the consent calendar.
I move that we adopt the Assembly standing rules with the exception of Rule 1.3D and 5.5.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly seconded. This motion takes a 2/3 vote to pass. Please listen carefully to the instructions, as they will be different due to the virtual nature of our voting, to ensure all votes are counted timely. All those in favor of the changes due to the virtual and hybrid nature, please vote aye. Opposed, nay, and there is also a button for abstention. Please cast your votes now. Okay. 98 yeses, 2 noes, and 1 abstention. The ayes have it, and the motion to adopt the Assembly Standing Rules, with the exception of 1.3D and 5.5, has passed. I would now like to introduce my resolutions team and our parliamentarian and Assembly assistant. I want to thank the resolutions team who has ensured that this annual meeting has happened for you. Eli Contreras, Michael Iseri, Coleman Potts, Simone Marshall, Patrick Morris, Daryl Wilson, and Ashley Weathers. The parliamentarian I have appointed for this meeting of the Assembly is Council Delegate Daryl Wilson from Springdale, Arkansas. Delegate Wilson is available to accept and respond to parliamentary inquiries throughout the Assembly meeting through the Q&A function and also in person. The Assembly assistant I have appointed for this meeting is Council Delegate Eli Contreras, right here in the front row. Our Turning Point software will automatically tally the votes for us this year. And with those introductory remarks completed, let us move on because we have a full agenda. As its presiding officer, I will now explain what the Assembly is and what is its mission. There are 2 policymaking bodies that concern members of the division. The first is this Assembly. The YLD Assembly is the principal policymaking body of the division. For any external policy position to take place beyond this division, it must also be passed by the House of Delegates, which is often referred to as the HOD. Each resolution you will consider today falls in one of 2 categories. First, there are young lawyer resolutions. These resolutions are numbered as YL resolutions, such as 22-8YL. These are the resolutions that have been authored by members of the Young Lawyers Division, and they will be considered only by this Assembly at the annual meeting. Those that are adopted at this Assembly become the policy of our division. There are also HOD resolutions. The House will meet on Monday and Tuesday of this annual meeting. The majority of the HOD resolutions have been authored by members of other sections, divisions, and forums within the ABA. Just like other sections, divisions, and forums take resolutions to the HOD, so does our division. The YLD currently has 2 resolutions that will be brought to the HOD, Resolution 506 and Resolution 507. The YLD Assembly follows the rules contained in the current edition of Robert's Rules of Order, subject to the standing or special rules that this Assembly has adopted. The Assembly standing rules are posted on the YLD's website Assembly page. If you wish to make a motion, please flag this for Daryl or use the Q&A function, and we will line you up so that you can be recognized if it is appropriate. When recognized, please state your full name, state delegate status, because this is how you are authorized to serve as a delegate. I will not recognize any motion unless it is a motion that is in order when another has the floor, such as a point of order or a parliamentary inquiry. A call for a question, in other words, a call to end debate and proceed to a vote, is not in order, for example, from your seat. When entertaining resolutions, debate will alternate between proponents and opponents. If you wish to be recognized as a speaker, you must stand near the mic and wait to be recognized. There's also seats here as well. Once you have been recognized, please do not forget to introduce yourself if you are a pro speaker or a con speaker on a resolution. Please speak clearly. We also use the salmon slips to figure out who are the pro and con speakers for each of the resolutions. The delegate moving the resolution will have 6 minutes and may reserve time for rebuttal. The delegate opposing a resolution also has 6 minutes, but they may not reserve time for rebuttal. Those providing council reports will have 4 minutes, and all other speakers have only 2 minutes. All attendees will be able to see the speaker's designated speaking time displayed on the screen, and if you're virtual, on your screens. Today's agenda was distributed to the Assembly delegates electronically and is currently available for review. The next item of business is the consent calendar. A summary of the resolutions is listed on the screen and is also on the agenda. The full text of these resolutions is posted on the ABA-YLD website and was in the packet sent electronically to each delegate. Any delegate had the opportunity and the ability to object to the placement of any of these resolutions on the consent calendar by the stated deadline. That deadline to object to the placement has now passed, and all resolutions on the consent calendar stand approved. We will now move straight to debate for 22-8YL. The next item of business is debate on YLD Resolution 22-8YL. This resolution urges the Biden administration to cancel student loan debt and Congress to adopt legislation that reduces all student loan debt and cancellation for public service borrowers. For the purposes of moving Resolution 22-8YL, the Speaker recognizes Scholar Delegate Charlene Stanberry, ABA-YLD Scholar from Washington, D.C.
I move YLD Resolution 22-8YL.
Scholar Delegate Stanberry, you have 6 minutes. Would you like to reserve any time for rebuttal?
Madam Speaker, I would like to reserve 2 minutes for rebuttal.
Scholar Delegate Stanberry, you have 4 minutes for your opening remarks.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, YLD Assembly. I am Scholar Delegate Charlene Stanberry from Washington, D.C., and I'm here to talk to you about more favorable terms for student loan borrowers. Student loan debt is not just an important cause, it's a national crisis. The ABA-YLD conducted a survey that demonstrated student loan debt was one of the most biggest barriers to important life decisions that will ultimately help the economy. This resolution addresses 2 key ABA goals. 1, improving the profession, and 2, eliminating bias and enhancing diversity. Also, this resolution seeks to immediately cancel student loan debt for individuals who have worked in public service for over 10 years, regardless of calculations. The Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program was enacted by Congress in 2007 to encourage individuals to serve in government and public service. However, since 2017, only 2% of processed applications for forgiveness have been approved. You see, student loan debt is a significant barrier to young lawyers building wealth and making other major life decisions. In the ABA-YLD report regarding student debt, nearly 80% of law student graduates stated that their debt influenced their choice of a job and a career. For those who had over $100K in debt, they were most likely to postpone buying a house. And for those who had over $200K in debt, they were most likely to postpone having kids or thinking about not having kids at all. Canceling student loan debt is also a racial justice issue. Studies show that canceling student loan debt by at least $50K for Black law students would alleviate the debt burden of 3 out of 4 Black households. Also, canceling student loan debt is good for the economy. Indeed, canceling student loan debt would boost the GDP by billions of dollars and add up to 1.5 million new jobs. According to a recent study by Harvard Business School, when student loan debt is canceled, people are more able and more likely to create and invest in small businesses, attain more advanced degrees, and move to where they want to live or work. Currently, with the Biden administration, they have considered several different options for loan forgiveness. Most recently, they discussed eliminating up to $10K. However, there's another option, $50K, forgiving $50K per borrower. This option has congressional support, with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Warren leading conversations for this action through executive action. Indeed, that would clear loans for over 36 million borrowers. In conclusion, the American Bar Association should continue to advocate for student loan debt cancellation, particularly to level the field for young lawyers and people of color, plus to stimulate the economy. Thank you.
Thank you. We do not have a principal opponent to speak on this resolution. The first delegate or other person with speaking privileges to be recognized by the speaker may speak for up to 6 minutes. Does any delegate wish to speak in opposition of this resolution? For the purposes of debate, do we have another proponent speaker? Seeing no further debate, the speaker recognizes Delegate Stanberry for a 2-minute rebuttal unless she chooses to waive.
Madam Speaker, I would like to waive my 2 minutes for rebuttal.
Delegates, please take a second and consider your votes. Now the question is on the adoption of Resolution 22-8YL. This motion takes a simple majority. Please listen carefully to the instructions, as they will be different due to the virtual nature of our voting, to ensure our resolution votes are counted timely. All those in favor of the motion to adopt Resolution 22-8YL, vote aye or yes by using the voting function. All those opposed, no. And all those who abstain, please do so in the app. Please cast your vote now. Okay. We have 88 yeses, 10 noes, and 15 abstentions. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. And now we will have a short 2-minute intermission. A special presentation from the LSAC.
Hello, I'm Kyle McEntee, Senior Director at the Law School Admission Council, although I've known many of you through my former role as the founder and executive director of Law School Transparency. About 6 months ago, LST was acquired by LSAC as part of a larger push to evolve LSAC into more than a testing company, but more on that shortly. I've always enjoyed my opportunities to address the YLD Council and Assembly. I regret that I couldn't make it in person this year and mingle among so many friends. Some of my best professional memories have been at APA events, but I look forward to reconnecting in New Orleans. LSAC and the YLD share many of the same priorities. We care deeply about access to the legal profession, diversity, equity, and inclusion within it, and student debt. And we both care deeply about helping law schools evolve to meet the complicated needs of employers, clients, and more broadly, a society sorely failing on a variety of justice measures. It may surprise most of you to hear that LSAC is about way more than the LSAT. But when we acknowledge how closely aligned our groups are, it highlights how we can be good partners to the YLD in the years to come. LSAC is evolving into a true legal education company. We've expanded our mission to improve student outcomes, from pre-law through law school and into practice. And we are putting our resources behind that expanded mission. To help accomplish this, we've created a platform called Law Hub. For pre-law students, Law Hub has been the platform for practice LSATs and where students take the actual LSAT and LSAT writing. The platform has expanded access and equity in test prep and ensured limited disruption for students and law schools alike during COVID. And we've set our sights even higher. In the pre-law space, we're focused on several key outcomes. We want students to know what lawyers actually do, to see themselves in law school and the legal profession, to make informed choices about whether and where to apply, where to attend, and how much to pay, to know how to apply and how to apply well, and to start law school with the knowledge, skills, and confidence they need to succeed. If we can do that, it will help level the playing field. At LSAC, we know that new lawyers need cognitive ability and legal skills, but they also need to develop a broader set of characteristics and professional competencies. And as you know, these are not always highlighted, taught, developed, or assessed in law school. We also know that when students employ reflective learning and well-being practices, they are more likely to foster their intellectual, practical, and ethical abilities, and that these abilities are key to their continued academic and professional success. The Law Hub team at LSAC wants to help people succeed, whatever that means to them, wherever they are in their learning journey. So once people are in law school, this means helping those students to understand academic expectations and develop the skills required to meet those expectations, to recognize and develop the wide range of professional and operational skills practiced by attorneys, to be self-aware and reflective, to take care of themselves, to be as intentional as possible about their legal career and their career path, to increase their confidence and see themselves as part of the legal community, and to equip them to reshape that community. As we take our next steps as an organization, we want to work with the YLD to hear from you about what you see as the opportunities for legal education to be more effective, more accessible, and more affordable. Together, we can make a difference for all young lawyers to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that special presentation. Okay. I would now like to introduce, Mary Smith, our ABA President-elect nominee.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's so great to be here with all of you. This is like one of my favorite places at the meeting. First of all, I want to thank all of you for everything you do every single day. I follow very closely and talk to a lot of the YLD leadership, and thanks so much to Chair Portis and I know incoming Chair Joe Bond. I'm so excited for both their leaderships. And I've said this before, this division is one of the most important parts of the ABA. When I ran for president, I made a commitment to YLD that we would be partners. So I'm looking forward to working closely with all of you every day. And I want to ask one question to myself: how can I help you all? And that's really what I want to do. So everywhere I go, everything I do, I want to infuse what will be relevant for young lawyers, and I do mean that, so hold me accountable. Thanks so much for all of you being here today, and you're doing amazing work on just law student debt. That's so critical. According to your own survey, that's the #1 issue facing law students and young lawyers today. I know myself, it wasn't even as bad when I started out. It's gone up exponentially. All the work you do just to help lawyers be better lawyers, starting a practice in these challenging times, your work on diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is so important. And then I always do want to highlight the work that you all do on wellness, because that is so important. It's such a stressful time for many. So thank you so much for allowing me to interrupt your program. I know you have a busy agenda, but I just wanted to come over and say hello. And please come reach out to me. I know I'll be working closely with the division. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much. The next item of business is debate on YLD Resolution 22-9YL, which urges all national, state, and local bar associations to establish a professional advancement program for new and young lawyers to provide meaningful education around wage negotiations and financial planning. For the purposes of moving YLD Resolution 22-9YL, the Speaker recognizes Scholar Delegate Portia Britt from St. Louis, Missouri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move YLD Resolution 22-9YL.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Scholar Delegate Britt, you have 6 minutes. Would you like to reserve any time for rebuttal?
Yes, Madam Speaker, I'd like to reserve 2 minutes.
Scholar Delegate Britt, you have 4 minutes for your opening remarks.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good morning, my fellow delegates. My name is Portia Britt, and I am a Scholar Delegate from the state of Missouri. I am here today to ask you all to vote in favor of this proposed resolution for financial equity. The American Bar Association has identified improving the legal profession as well as eliminating bias and enhancing diversity as 2 important pillars of fulfilling its mission to serve equally its members, the profession, and the public. As the national representative of the legal profession, the legal profession has long struggled with hiring, promoting, and retaining diverse lawyers. This resolution seeks to improve the profession by enhancing the legal education of all attorneys through the establishment of a professional advancement program for new and young lawyers to provide meaningful education surrounding wage negotiations and financial planning. In 2017, only 5% of active attorneys identified as Black, 5% as Hispanic or Latino, and 2% as Asian. Contributing factors to this lack of diversity are inequitable salaries and opportunities to rise to positions of power. A key means of rectifying these inequities is an understanding of wage negotiations, negotiating power, and financial planning. Unfortunately, there is often a lack of knowledge and a resource gap among those who lack family ties or other connections, such as first-generation professionals, those from diverse backgrounds, and women. Research shows that an individual's financial knowledge can impact their willingness to quickly agree during negotiations or even their desire to initiate a negotiation in the first place. The decision not to negotiate salary has lasting implications as pay gaps at the start of a career compound. For first-generation professionals, statistics show that attorneys who have at least one attorney parent have a higher employment rate, are more likely to be employed in JD-required jobs, and are more likely to obtain judicial clerkships or positions in private practice than those who are the first attorney in their family. New attorneys that come from an attorney lineage have higher median salaries overall than those who are the first in their family to become an attorney. First-generation attorneys are also less likely to engage in salary negotiations, especially in their first job out of law school. For individuals from diverse backgrounds, the 2019 wage gap for Black men and women was 61 cents on the dollar. For Latinas, they earned only 55 cents on the dollar. And studies have shown that people from diverse backgrounds are more likely to be penalized for negotiating their starting salary. In 2021, about 25% of law firm partners were women, with only 22% being equity partners. Prescribed gender roles have been found to play a role in the salary negotiation, as women are expected to portray warm, helpful, and passive behaviors, while men are expected to display dominant, assertive, and decisive behaviors. Research has shown that women face penalization for both adherence to and violation of gender norms during the negotiation process. Attorneys that do not negotiate their salary at the beginning of their career could lose anywhere from $1 to $1.5 million over the course of their career. It is important for our profession to be inclusive of all of those who wish to join and to take active steps to break down barriers that may stand in the way. Therefore, I ask all my fellow delegates to vote in favor of this resolution so that we may begin to equip attorneys to advocate for themselves with the same veracity with which they advocate for their clients. Thank you.
For the purposes of debate, do we have a principal opponent speaker? For the purposes of debate, do we have another proponent speaker? Seeing no further debate, the speaker recognizes Scholar Delegate Britt for a 2-minute rebuttal unless she chooses to waive.
Madam Speaker, at this time I will waive my rebuttal.
Delegates, please take a second and consider your votes. Now the question is on the adoption of YLD Resolution 22-9YL. This motion takes a simple majority. Please listen carefully to the instructions as they are different due to the virtual nature of our voting. All those in favor of the motion to adopt YLD Resolution 22-9YL, vote aye or yes by using the voting function. All those opposed, vote nay or no. And those who abstain, please do so in the app. Please cast your votes now. Okay. 109 yes, 2 no, 6 abstentions. The resolution has passed. It is now adopted. And we're going to take another 4-minute quick break. I really appreciate you all being flexible. We're back in person, and we're trying to do some of our presentations in person. You all know I like to run an efficient assembly, but we also want to make sure that we make time for those of us who are going to be doing presentations in person to actually be here. So we're going to take another short 4-minute intermission, and then we'll come back.
let's get out of here.
Am I? All right, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get back started. We have an exciting special guest with us. I'd like for Barbara Howard to come to the stage, who is our chair of the House of Delegates.
Thank you. I think it's afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. It is so nice to be here in person. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the opportunity to be here, to be with you. I grew up in the YLD, so you guys are very special to me. With respect to the House, for those of you who will be in the House Monday and Tuesday, we have a pretty packed agenda. I will tell you that your two resolutions were considered by the Board of Governors yesterday with a recommendation to approve that will be transmitted to the House on Monday and Tuesday. We have a fabulous panel discussion. This one, following the other three we've had at our other meetings, this one is on democracy in peril and how can we as lawyers change this trajectory. We have a stellar panel, something that happens only because we are the ABA and can get wonderful people who agree to come and talk to us because we are the American Bar Association. For those of you who are not in the House, we will be videotaping that panel presentation, and it will be available, I'm told, at least by the end of the day on Monday. For those of you who are in the House, it'll be presented between 11 and noon. We have about 40 resolutions that we will be considering. A number of them were just filed in the last week or so that are the outgrowth of the Supreme Court decision in Dobbs, dealing directly with the Dobbs decision, and then other issues that have that are corollary issues of concern that will be raised before the House next week. So I want to thank you all for your work with the YLD. You are the future of the ABA, and it's great to see your involvement, your dedication, and I hope you are enjoying this in-person meeting as much as I am. Happy to answer questions. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your meeting. And for those of you in the House, I'll see you on Monday. Thanks very much. Thank you. Thanks so much. And I want to congratulate all the officers for all the work you do. And for those of you coming into office, Joe, congratulations.
Thank you so much for being here, and I know that you are incredibly busy, so appreciate you spending some time here in the YLD Assembly. We also now have some other very exciting guests. I would like to introduce Reginald Turner, who is our current ABA president, to come to the stage and give us some brief remarks.
Hello, everyone. I'm pleased to join you for this in-person YLD Assembly. The convening is essential as it's important to be involved in, debate, and vote on the resolutions and issues that matter to you, young lawyers, and to our profession. The Young Lawyers Division's work on student debt relief is commendable, especially the lobbying efforts and focus during the ABA's Student Debt Week of Action. It was a notable impact to be joined by Senators Durbin, Cornyn, and Warren, strong advocates on this issue, as well as House Majority Whip James Clyburn and other organizations and industries that are impacted by student loans. Your voices were critical to that conversation. The perspective of our young lawyers and early career members is a key component of the ABA's growth and future success. Thank you all for all your leadership this past year, especially the chair of YLD, Troy Portis, the YLD representative on the ABA Board of Governors, and the young lawyer delegates in the ABA House of Delegates. We appreciate your dedication and participation in the ABA. Please stay involved and engaged. Thank you for sharing your opinions with me throughout my time as president. I will continue to support you and soon-to-be President Deborah Enox Ross on the issues that affect the legal profession. Have a great assembly.
Thank you so much. And we also have the pleasure of having Deborah Enox Ross with us, who is our ABA President-elect.
Thank you. It is really good, as the other officers have said, not only to be with you, but to be with you in person. It is one thing to see each other in those Zoom boxes or in Microsoft Teams, but it's quite another to be here and to have the kind of camaraderie and fellowship that you can only get when you gather in person. I came by also to thank you for the support that so many of you have given me over the years, not just as I become president next week, but also when I was chair of the House and in other endeavors in the ABA. And I also came by to say thank you for your involvement in the ABA and, more importantly, in the YLD. As our chair, Barb Howard, said, you are the future. and you are who we are counting on to help us grow our association, strengthen the legal profession, and protect the rule of law. And so it'll be a privilege to work with you on those issues. I do want to say a special thanks to your incoming chair, Joe Bond, who worked with me on the Presidential Appointments Committee. It was important to me to have a young lawyer representative on that committee so that we could make sure within our appointments we were considering young lawyers. And over the last couple of weeks, I've been meeting with sections, divisions, and divisions and forum chairs, and including Joe, who told me about some of her exciting ideas that she wants to implement, including your first-generation lawyers, and I being I'm first-generation everything. Like, you know, I'm the first in my family to graduate high school and go to college and go to law school, and I know the challenges that I faced, and I can imagine that some of you have faced being first-generation, so I think that that is a terrific initiative. I hope that together we can work on the areas that I intend to focus on this year: civics, civility, and collaboration. We need more than ever for lawyers to be out in our communities, promoting civics and civic education, and demonstrating civility. You know, I see the signs for pros and cons. That's what we do. We debate, and then at the end, we have a resolution, and then we move forward. And we, as the legal profession, need to teach and lead in that kind of activity for our community. So I am counting on you to help us in that work. And as I have said to Joe, I pledge my support to you in your work, and I think we'll have a terrific year together. So thank you so much for this opportunity to come before you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those remarks. And thank you all for coming. I know that you're so busy, so we really appreciate you. Okay, we are to our final resolution of the day. The next item of business is debate on HOD Resolution 606. So we are really going to be utilizing our hybrid functionality for this resolution. So I just want to get a thumbs up that we are ready to go from our tech. Great. This resolution urges federal, state, local, territorial, and tribal courts, as well as attorneys, judges, legislators, and government agencies to take actions to address issues of racism in America's civil and criminal justice system. For the purposes of moving HOD Resolution 606, the Speaker will recognize Scholar Delegate Ashley Weathers from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Hello, everyone. Sorry I couldn't be with you all in person, but I move Resolution 6, addressing anti-Black systematic racism in child welfare law.
And it's been moved and properly second. Scholar Delegate Weathers, you have 6 minutes. Would you like to reserve any time for rebuttal?
I would like to reserve 1 minute, but I yield my remaining 2 minutes to Brenda Robinson.
Great. The Speaker recognizes Brenda Robinson for the purposes of Ashley's time.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Ashley, Madam Speaker, Connor, and thank you for allowing me to present before the YLD Assembly today. My name is Brenda C. Robinson. I am the incoming chair for the Commission on Youth at Risk. I'm also a dependency attorney. For those who don't know, my special niche is representing children in the foster care system. I've been doing that for approximately 22 years in Los Angeles. And I work for Children's Law Center of Los Angeles. The Commission on Youth at Risk spent over 2 years drafting this resolution. The resolution seeks to improve our profession and to eliminate bias. Why this resolution? This resolution is to educate attorneys and other professionals about the systemic racism within the child welfare system, stemming from the history of slavery in the United States that has been perpetuated by the oversurveillance of and underinvestment in Black families in America, which has resulted in disproportionate involvement of Black parents and children within the system. This resolution was written mostly to raise awareness as well as to help people recognize that this is an issue, to educate us, to educate the profession, and most of all, to bring change within the profession and policies. Did you happen to know that Black families are overrepresented in the child welfare system? That there are 14%, Black children are 14% of the total child population, yet they're 23% in foster care. While the white population, there's 50% children, 44% are in foster care. Black children spend longer time on average in foster care and less likely to return to their families. And this is linked to history of slavery, over-surveillance, and under-investment in Black communities. We also wanted to raise awareness and bring about the recognition of racism, cultural differences, and the misunderstandings, biases, and stereotypes that result in laws and decisions that are made that have led to this disproportionate treatment. And through all of this, we're calling on the ABA to educate. We are urging our profession to be educated on this issue because it won't change without it. Bar associations across the nation already have trainings for attorneys. You all sit in MCLE classes all the time. Why not make this a huge part of that education? Include the conversation. Through this education, that's the only way that our practices as attorneys will change, and the decisions as judges will change, and the policies and practices will change. You know, I want to close my last couple of moments here. As an attorney who was working in this area, I was representing a family, two families, two different children. They're both under the age of 3 years old. One child, the family was a husband and wife. They had drug problems. They were drug testing, doing their programs, and everything they needed to get their child back. Their child was out of the home for 6 months. They came to court. Everything looked good. They had had a few missed tests, a few slip-ups, but generally things were fine. I argued for this child to go home. The court agreed. That child went home. Then I had a second case, same day, same judge. This was a single mother, and she was in a drug rehab program. She had been clean. Her child also had been out of the home. Actually, her child had been out of the home for a year. But she was doing well in her program. She was testing. There were no issues. And the court, however, did not return her child. The court returned the other child. The single mother was Black. The other family was white. There was such little things that happened that could have prevented that. So my time is up, but I thank you and ask that you pass this resolution.
Thank you. For the purposes of debate, do we have a principal opponent speaker on this resolution? The speaker now recognizes our next proponent speaker. Please state your name and delegate affiliation at the mic.
Good afternoon. My name is Taylor Gillum. I'm a delegate and president-elect from the South Carolina Bar, YLD.
The speaker recognizes Taylor Gilliam for 2 minutes.
Thank you. I practice appellate law, so it took all I had not to say, may it please the court. Like a good lawyer, I'm going to steal somebody else's work. In February 2020, our state Supreme Court issued an opinion in a case involving a man stopped by the police, arguably in violation of the Fourth Amendment. What made this opinion unique is the racial makeup of the justices. 2 African-American justices were in the minority, and 3 white justices voted to affirm the convictions. The analysis boiled down to whether the reasonable person standard applies differently to African-Americans. Writing for the dissent, our Chief Justice, Donald Beatty, wrote, "The United States population includes 42 million Americans of African descent. Inexplicably, these Americans are basically invisible to those of us who apply the analytical framework for reasonable behavior or beliefs. Somehow the judiciary, intentionally or not, excludes these Americans' normal behaviors, responses, and beliefs in circumstances involving law enforcement agents. For most, the totality of the circumstances does not include consideration of the reasonable behavior or response of African Americans when confronted with certain stimuli. Thus, the regrettable and unsettling conclusion is that the question of what is reasonable is viewed solely from the perspective of Americans who are white. I shudder to think about the probable result had the defendant continued to walk and ignore the police." With my 33 seconds, I will just give you the citation for the remainder of the dissent, and that is 429 SC 422 or 839 Southeastern 2nd 450. In conclusion, our Chief Justice said this fact-of-life observation has no bearing on the actual guilt or innocence of the defendant in this case. However, it has great significance to our Constitution, due process, equal protection, and what it means to be an American. And I believe that opinion speaks directly to the first bullet point, explicit or implicit bias, and would implore everybody in attendance to vote in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
For purposes of debate, is there an opponent speaker? Seeing no further debate, the speaker recognizes Brenda Robinson for rebuttal unless she chooses to waive.
I just wanted to conclude with one last comment. It's really important to make sure that through this resolution you understand that we're raising the awareness, we're recognizing that there is racism, that we use this as an opportunity to educate our profession, and that we call for change within our own practices, the policies, and the laws. Thank you so much for your consideration and your time.
Delegates, please take a second and consider your votes. Now the question is on whether to support HOD Resolution 606. This motion takes a simple majority. Please listen carefully to the instructions as they are different due to the virtual nature of our voting. All those in favor of the motion to support HOD Resolution 606, vote by stating aye or yes using the voting function. All those opposed, no. And those who abstain, please do so in your app. Please cast your votes now. All right. 90 yes, 2 no, and 17 abstentions. The motion to support HOD Resolution 606 passes. And with that, we are done voting on all of our resolutions for today. But we still have some more really exciting things. So we will now hear from Shasta Inman, our clerk, regarding our social media raffle.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon again, everyone. And thank you so much for those of you who engaged on social media using our hashtags ABAYLD and YLD Assembly. I have 10 entries as of the time that I refreshed my browser and started walking down here, so thank you all. And I have a random number generator on my phone. So we're gonna hit generate. Number 2, M. Blair Hlinka. There, she's in the back. Okay. And we're gonna do one more random number generator. Number 8, Rich Rivera, who's always on social media and I think also won at mid-year. So thank you, Rich. And thank you all, and continue to engage in social media even though the debate is over.
Thank you all for being engaged on social media. You all know I love seeing the hashtags being used. We will now have our passing of the gavel videos for the positions of YLD Chair and Speaker.
Hello, I'm Pamela Roberts. I was chair of the division 91 to 92.
Good morning. I'm Judy Perry Martinez, and I was chair of the division 1990 through 1991.
Hi, I'm Barbara Mendel Maiden. I was chair of the division sometime around 1985, 1986. I sort of forget. But anyway, I wanted to thank you all for the opportunity to bring us old people back to congratulate the division on all you're accomplishing, and you just make us proud every day. We are sisters in the law, the three of us, and you'll look around and you'll find that the people sitting next to you will also be your friends 30-something years from now.
Oh. I guess that's my sign. Choi, we want to congratulate you. You had a wonderful year as we all continue to face new and different challenges in the practice of law and in our own daily lives. You rose to the top. You kept providing great leadership, and we are so proud to now welcome you both as a former chair, but also into the sisterhood.
And Joe Bond, 2 babies strong, a new job already set in motion, and here you go off to what we know will be a fabulous year for the Young Lawyers Division of the American Bar Association. We are so proud of you and know that your year will build on the work of Choi, and we congratulate you even before you get started.
And I can't let this opportunity go by, as I do every year. Shout out to the TBA Young Lawyers.
And Louisiana, you're strong.
Wait a minute, South Carolina is always there to count on.
Oh, come on. Who said sisters don't fight?
Congratulations, ABA Young Lawyers Division, on all your great works, past and present. My name is Alan Olson from the great state of Iowa, and it was my privilege to chair the division during the 2002-2003 bar year, when we were fortunate to win the Section Officers Conference Meritorious Service Award for our program Junior Judges, Helping Kids Make Smart Choices. Remember, as you continue to grow and excel, when you do succeed, don't linger too long at the table of success, because your only way to your next meal is to get hungry. Have a great conference.
Hello, my name is Laura Farber, and I was chair of the YLD from 2001 to 2002. I am so excited to be with you virtually for the passing of the gavel. Gosh, it just seems like yesterday that Brian Melendez was passing the gavel to me, which actually is a long time ago. Anyway, I wanted to congratulate Choi Portis on an amazing year. I got a chance to work closely with Choi as I co-chaired the coordinating group on Practice Forward, which was meant to provide resources to our members, both during the pandemic and as we emerge from it, which we are still doing. It has been amazing. And whether it be focusing on child care and policy and other resolutions or mental health and well-being, we could always count on the YLD via Choi's amazing leadership. Congratulations on a wonderful year, Choi. And Josephine Bond, Joe, I know we've had a few opportunities to speak, and I cannot wait for your leadership. I know you will do amazing things and inspire other young lawyers throughout the country, both to give back to our profession and to give to the public via public service, which is what the YLD is known for, and frankly, makes us so proud. If I can ever be supportive in any way, please call on me. I look forward to the coming year and to being constantly amazed by the fabulous work of the YLD and its wonderful leaders and members. Congrats and enjoy.
My name is Mario Sullivan from the great state of Chicago, and I had the pleasure of being the chair of the Young Lawyers Division for the 2013-2014 year. We send a big congratulations to Choi and all of her great work this past bar year, and we look forward to seeing all the great things that Josephine has planned for this following bar year. Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Anna Romanskaya from San Diego, California, YLD Chair 2016-2017. First and foremost, Choi, congratulations on an amazing and inspiring year. It has not been easy, I know that, but you've made some amazing accomplishments, great initiatives. I've been following your work. Congratulations on overcoming the odds, putting on a successful live conference. Finally, I know being able to get together, it's just been amazing watching you. To Joe, welcome, welcome, welcome. I know you are going to be fantastic. You are one of the hardest workers I have ever met. And I know that all of that is going to be devoted to the division and making the YLD that much better. Congratulations. Know that you have an entire tribe behind you and beside you to work with you, to help you, and to just be a ear to listen to if you need it. Welcome, congratulations. I look forward to seeing what you're going to accomplish. I look forward to working with Joy in the past chair club, and to all the future leaders out there, step up and get ready to lead. This is the time. We need you and your leadership now more than ever. So I'm excited to see what the division has in store. I'm excited for all of the future leaders to come, and know that I am here for you if I could ever be of service. Congratulations.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dana Horelik, and I served as chair of the division from 2017 to 2018. Choi, congratulations on finishing your year. It was fantastic. It looks like you did a number of really great things, and I know the YLD is moving in the right direction. Joe, congratulations and welcome to the helm. I know that it's going to be a phenomenal year under your leadership, and I can't wait to see how it goes. If there's any way that I can be of assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here to help. So I wish you the very best, and I hope everyone's doing well. Bye.
Hey, everybody. Chris Brown, Mansfield, Ohio, YLD Chair 2020 to 2021. Choi, let me start by congratulating you on a great year. I always take a lot of pride seeing a fellow Midwestern government lawyer do a great job as YLD Chair. So my hat's off to you. Joe, very excited to get to help pass this gavel to you, and of course I am wishing you the best. Brief story for everyone. Some of you may remember that just as I was about to ascend to Wildy Chair in the spring and summer of 2020, the coronavirus pandemic hit, and I was keeping a journal, and in March 2020, I wrote that I thought the pandemic would be over in just a few months. Unfortunately, I was terribly wrong about that. But similarly, I made another entry the first time that I ever met Joe, and I knew right away that she would one day be Wildy Chair. So while I may not be that good at judging the duration of a global pandemic, I still like to think I'm a pretty good judge of Wildy leadership character. Joe, I'm behind you 100%. Let me know how I can help, and best of luck to you in a very successful forthcoming year as Wildy Chair.
Hi, ABA YLD. This is Dave Scriven-Young, former Speaker of the Assembly, here on the set of Little Mountain Community Theater's The Music Man. Just wanted to say congratulations to Aubrey and Shasta. Aubrey, great work this year. Shasta, looking forward to your great work. The Music Man is all about a new person who comes to town and makes a difference, and you two ladies have definitely made a difference. So great work. Have a great summer, ABA YLD. Take care.
Aubrey, congratulations on a phenomenal year as Assembly Speaker. Prior to taking on the roles as Speaker and Clerk, you served on the resolutions team, you were the Assembly Assistant, you were the Assembly Parliamentarian. You were thoroughly prepared for this role, and it showed. You have served the division with excellence, and for that we are grateful and excited about what lies ahead for you. Shasta, congratulations on ascending to the speakership. I am incredibly excited about the amazing things that you have in store for this division during your year as Speaker, and I wish you the best of luck.
Aubrey, congratulations on an amazing year as Speaker. And to Shasta, I am so excited to welcome you as the new Speaker for the Young Lawyer Division. I know you are going to do amazing things. I am so proud of you, and I am just so blessed to even have you as a friend. So congratulations to Aubrey and Shasta, and I am so excited to welcome you into the Speakers Club.
Hey everyone, my name is Chris Jennison. I am the immediate past YLD Speaker. I want to congratulate Aubrey on a successful year and also on returning us back in person after a long time away. It's great to be with you all in person. I also want to wish luck to Shasta as she steps into the role of Speaker. Shasta, I'm looking forward to seeing everything you do this year, and if there's any way we can support you, please let us know. Thanks.
Okay. And now, Choi has asked for me to give her a point of personal privilege as our chair, so I will do that. Hey y'all. So I'm going to take a point of personal privilege as the current sitting chair because I can. Despite this pandemic forcing us to pivot and shift, we remain resilient in the face of a new renaissance. So allow me just to brag just a little bit on these amazing folks and the things that we were able to accomplish this year. First, we hosted the first in-person YLD conference since 2020, successfully created the YLD Women of Color Task Force, continued leading conversations and bringing awareness to the student debt crisis. We reconnected with the ABA public education team to participate in ABA Law Day. We successfully implemented the first YLD public service project since 2018, Operation Second Chance, hosted a dynamic Men of Color, Women of Color Summit that was moderated by an Illinois Supreme Court Justice, developed an expungement toolkit for our YLD affiliates as a guide to hosting local expungement fairs, and hosted a successful expungement fair giving hundreds of Atlanta residents a new lease on life. And that just scratched the surface of what we were able to do this year. Thank you, thank you, thank you to my dynamic group of directors who made this all possible: Holly Welsh, Lauren Barnes, Eric Knapp, Linda Anderson Stanley, Daryl Wilson, Erin Sohaski, Linda Gooseman, Irene Moe, Katrina Castillo, Danny Burrell, Tiffany Perry, Brittany Faith, Jen Isaacs, Donovan Bonner, and Jerome Crawford. I'd also be remiss if I didn't recognize our Men of Color, Women of Color Task Force co-chairs as well: Coleman Potts, Gary Brown, Janae Lamar, and Mary Magdalene Nyago. So without further ado, because I've been waiting on this for a whole year to pass this gavel to Joe, I just wanted to start out by saying just a scripture out of the Bible. So Philippians 4:6 says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God." This next year, your patience will be tested. You will be anxious. You will be nervous. But keep in mind, be anxious for nothing. So I'm going to steal a quote from author Ralph Marston as well. This is just kind of some advice for you as well as you step into this role. Be someone who listens and you'll be heard. Be someone who cares and you'll be loved. Be someone who gives and you'll be blessed. Be someone who comforts and you'll know peace. Congratulations on planning your year, and I look forward to all the wonderful things that you will accomplish next year, and just kind of follow some of the things that I did this year by leaving the division in a better place than how it was when you got it. So congratulations. Thank you. So we do have an actual order for this. So I'd like for the past chairs to actually come up on the stage, please, and just introduce yourself. Just introduce yourself, and then you can walk off the stage because we did have the videos, but just say your name and when you were past chair, and then you can stand to the side of the stage. Thank you.
Hello, I am Barbara Mendel Maiden, past chair in 1980-something from Nashville, Tennessee. Hey, TBA Young Lawyers.
I'm William Hubbard. I was chair of this division in 1987, 1988. Congratulations on a great year and on your leadership and your resilience. Shout out to South Carolina.
Good afternoon, everyone. Anna Romanskaya from San Diego, California. It's wonderful to see you all here in person. And congratulations, like I said in the video, to Choi. Congrats to Joe. And moment of personal privilege. If you have ever thought about being a leader in this division, now is the time. I encourage each and every one of you, virtually and in person, to think about what mark you want to leave, not just in the ABA, but in the profession. And think about and do step up. Thanks.
Hey everybody, Chris Brown, Chair 2020 to 2021. You just saw me from beautiful Mansfield, Ohio. It's good to see you all in person. And congratulations, Joe. Congratulations, Choi. Joe, I'll just say it again. Wishing you the best. You have 100% of my support. Let me know how I can help. Thanks, everybody.
I've been waiting all year for this. Choi Portis, the 2021-2022 chair of the American Bar Association Young Lawyers Division. Again, Joe, congratulations and welcome to the club. And now I would like to recognize Jo Bond for her speech. Speaker Connor, Assembly delegates, and distinguished guests. I'd like to start by taking a moment and asking everyone to please rise and give a round of applause to our outgoing Chair, Joy Portis, on an excellent year. Thank you for being here today to talk about the important legal issues facing our profession and for your service to this association. I'll start this afternoon with a bit of thanks to the folks I am humbled every day that have helped me stand before you as the 2022-2023 YLD Chair. To my fellow colleagues, Ed Cozen O'Connor, and especially Steve, Larry, and Jesse, my thanks goes out to them for thinking they could turn a banking lawyer into a construction litigator. It's been a great start. To my fellow delegates and members of the Maryland and DC delegations who have worked with me to push policy and advocate for young lawyers to have a seat at the table, especially to Harry Johnson and Pamela Brown. A special note of thanks to the 4 fiercest mentors I could have ever dreamed of having. To Paulette Brown, who always takes my call and is a stalwart of this association. To Michelle Banky, who is able to participate today, who has always given me more grace than I deserve and better advice than I could have asked for. You have been an anchor in my life. Sadly, the latter 2 of my mentors could not be here with us today. Pam Bresnahan taught me to be fierce as an advocate and to give him hell. I'm a better lawyer, advocate, and leader for the kindness she gave me. Next, I must give thanks to my mother-in-law, Beverly Dennison, who passed away 3 weeks ago after a nearly and very courageous 20-year battle with breast cancer. I've never met a stronger, smarter, better lawyer or mother. She is and always will be the pinnacle of both to me. I'd like to thank the past chairs. Oh, I've got one in my pocket, but I appreciate it. I came prepared. I read it multiple times, so I knew I wasn't going to get through it. But I'd like to give a bit of cheers to our past chairs, Barbara Mendel-Maiden, Christina Plum, who was here at one point, past President William Hubbard, Michael Bergman, Anna Romanskaya, and all those that gave kind words in this process. To the people that walk alongside me and with my family every day who help keep us together, my sister Amanda and Ruth and Jack's pop, who would never fail to raise their hand. We can't do any of this without you all. To the circle of people who are near and far that never wavered, to Shada Lee for her constant counsel, Sheila Willis for bringing me back into the light on my darkest day, Andrew Van Singel and Danny Burrell, Chris Brown. It is with you that I walk here today. Sadly, missing from this moment is the person that will serve as chair-elect this year, Tamara Nash. But I know that she is with me from South Dakota, her beloved state. To our staff for their patience with my incessant planning and the last 2 years of ups and downs, I appreciate you for always making it happen. My last bit of thanks, and then I'll actually get to some substance, is for the person that I get to start each day and end each night in awe of. Next month, I will celebrate 5 years of beautiful marriage with Chris Jennison. We have had the highest of highs and the lowest of lows in the last few years. But never once did I question, second guess, or reconsider my answer to the favorite question I have. Will you be my teammate? To know you is to know your compassion, loyalty, thoughtfulness, and in opposition to me, your inability to hold a grudge. Thanks for always being my Carrefour and for choosing me in all ways and always on the hardest of my days. I am grateful for you and for our holy union. Like Atticus said, you never truly know a person until you walk in their shoes. It's why I became a lawyer. It's why I chose to be a helper to make positive change in our legal system, including for those trying to access justice. The best work I ever did as a lawyer happened during my clerkship. Miller v. Alabama was decided several years before I started clerking, but Montgomery v. Louisiana applied it to the states 2 years before I started. I had the chance to work with local prosecutors to urge new sentences for juvenile offenders who had already served time for longer than I'd been alive. The work propelled me and inspired me to continue in service, first with the federal government, defending consumers against fraud and banking-related harm, and now into a richly rewarding pro bono practice at COSN, where I get to work on meaningful voter impact litigation and that shines a light on the injustice in redistricting. Being a lawyer has been one of the greatest privileges of my life. Chairing this division is certainly another, which is why I became a lawyer in mind. We've created a bar year to remind us all why we started, to bring us back to basics. We are meeting our members where they are this year, in the number of years that they have practiced, in their practice setting, in their debt load, and in their stage of life. We have recommitted to focusing on the member experience and why we became lawyers and students of law in the first place, to learn, to grow, and to be helpers within and for our communities. This year, we will be offering over 200 programs that are already underway. They're focused on actionable items that our members can bring back to their practice and their communities. It's led by the work of Lexi Lutz, Lauren Barnes, Jonathan Bogues, Aaron Sohaski, Brittany Faith, Tyler Holmes, Jen Isaacs, Brandy Pikes, and Ray Panaton, and it will directly benefit our members. We'll host more than 10 in-person meetings for our members and affiliates to grow and network, as planned by Spencer Rubin and Satanya Fuller, all while delivering the award-winning content from Blair Hlinka's team and the Disaster Legal Services program led by Amanda Brown that y'all have become accustomed to. The YLD will continue to be the driving force of the association's diversity and inclusion efforts, adding the equity component to our diversity director, Sarah Saint's title for the first time. Our team will be led by managing directors Rich Rivera from Florida and Callie Franks from Texas. We'll work together to deliver an aggressive, collaborative, and member-driven year to bring us, hopefully, fully out of the pandemic. Our team will roll out 2 new initiatives this year, one on first-generation students and one on parents in practice. In creating the first-generation initiative, our team, led by Ayat Nizam and Tiffany Perry, will create policy and programming targeted at the first-gen lawyer. Inspired by those among us that have worked 5 jobs in college, 3 in law school, who never understood how to correctly fill out their FAFSA, or even knew a lawyer before they started their legal career, this team will tackle pressing challenges for the first time in our profession. Additionally, Stephanie Rogers and Jen Cree will lead a team focusing on parents in practice, reminding those of us who find ourselves crying on the floor of a hotel bathroom in the middle of nowhere because they can't get the Wi-Fi to work, and our kids are in the adjoining room because we didn't answer a partner who needed that assignment really fast, and we just weren't fast enough. But they aren't alone. I'm eager to meet with all of you this year on ways that we can collaborate, strengthen our combined goals, to improve our profession, create more opportunities for younger lawyers at the table, and to move the needle a little bit more. We have a lot to do, and I've only had 5 minutes to talk about it, but I'm ready to get to work, and I hope you'll join me. Thank you.
Okay, and now I would like we have a couple past speakers here as well. So I would like for them to come stand right here. And
I'm actually going to take, because I'm speaker, a point of personal privilege and allow for Shanique to offer a few words.
Thank you, Abre. My name is Shanique Moss, and I was the speaker in, I believe it was 2016-2017 bar year. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate Abre on an amazing year. I think she might be only the second YLD speaker to actually have to pivot. I think she was, because in 2020 we pivoted from in-person to virtual, and she pivoted from virtual to in-person, and she did an amazing job and kept everyone really engaged. And so congratulations on your year. I'd also like to welcome Shasta. I've worked with you, and I know you're going to be an amazing speaker, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or anything like that. I am more than happy to assist. Thank you both, and congratulations, both ladies.
And for our, go ahead, yeah, come on.
Danny Van Horn, Memphis, Tennessee, Assembly Speaker 2006-2007, which makes me officially old. Go Tennessee Bar Young Lawyers. That's right, go Vols. Assembly Speaker is absolutely the best job in the ABA period. It's like 90% of the glory and like maybe 30% of the work, but you actually get to make a difference. And what I want to tell you is I was blown away at your tech, and this is not the first time that we as a Young Lawyers Division Assembly have led the way. My first year in the House, they were using grease pencil projector boards, and we actually taught them how to put the multiple screens up and change the tech that you see in the House today. And I'll be having a conversation about what you guys are doing moving forward in the House, so you're constantly making a difference. Congratulations and welcome to the club.
Hey y'all, Chris Jennison. I was the YLD speaker 2020 to 2021. I want to give a ton of congratulations to Bray for a successful year and bring us back in person, which is phenomenal. And also to give my heartfelt congratulations to Shasta as she becomes speaker. If there's anything we can do to help you along the way, just reach out. Thanks.
Okay. Well, we're at the end. Over the last 2 years, I have had the privilege of serving as your clerk and now as your speaker. When I ran, it was to be a clerk and then a speaker who represented everyone. A leader who realized that the only way for us to create space for who we want to be is by shifting some of the pieces that made us who we currently are. Those changes aren't always comfortable, and sometimes they come with backlash by individuals who are resistant to those changes. But with your help, we accomplished a lot nevertheless. We demonstrated that we could indeed create videos and digital media that helps delegates to understand more about the policymaking process. We translated documents into other languages for the first time as well. And we also built an indexing database. And of course, we held our first hybrid assembly. I do have to thank you. I do have to take the time to thank individuals like our current chair, Troy Porters, past speakers such as Jamie Davis, Dacre Still, Shanique Moss, Myra McKenzie, and other past and current leaders who have supported me tirelessly throughout this time. This is not a job that you can do alone. Yesterday, I heard at the Men of Color and Women of Color Summit a wonderful statement that reminded me of what is to come for those of us who are committed to fairness and equity. It was about the arc always bending towards justice. As a country, we have experienced so many highs and lows while I've been in this role. I've served you all virtually through a pandemic, through historic Supreme Court decisions, and heightened curiosity to build to some more equity into the threads of this very association and this division. But we have a long way to go. I remember when I first learned of the strategy to actually build out the Brown versus Board of Education case, and when I learned a lot more when I was at the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund. That case was meant to ensure that there was equity for Black students in other spaces. There were smaller cases all across the country that were needed prior to that Supreme Court litigation. And it took a long time to get there. But now we have a legal ruling that separate is inherently unequal. And the ABA-YLD can create a space that truly means that we all belong. It will take all of us doing our part to build, to innovate, to be trailblazers. But once it happens, this division will look back and smile at what we've done. This division is the future, and I have faith in your delegations. And with Shasta Inman as your Chief Policy Officer to take us there, I know there is no limit to what you all will do. And now, I introduce to you your new ABA-YLD speaker, Shasta Inman.
Thank you, everyone. I get promoted to the big podium now. Good afternoon for the last time today, Assembly members and special guests. I first would want to congratulate and thank again Abray for successfully executing the first ever ABA-YLD hybrid assembly. More clapping, more clapping. I've worked alongside Abray this year, and we had a very interesting and challenging year. We were all geared up for in-person mid-year and had to pivot fairly last minute in February back to virtual. We then experienced the new dynamics of returning to in-person while still considering and accommodating the travel needs and health concerns of our delegates, ultimately resulting in the hybrid assembly we have completed today. Through all of the planning changes and bumps, Abray handled it with grace and poise, swift decision-making, way swifter than I would be able to have done, supreme flexibility, constant dedication. I can only hope to emulate her in the future. I remain ever inspired as well by Abray's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, incorporating in the Assembly today special presentations of not only a stolen land acknowledgement, but also an enslaved labor acknowledgement, and other calls to advocacy and words of inspiration that are incredibly timely and vitally relevant to the practice and profession of law and our broader communities. During my time as speaker, I intend to continue these presentations and overall efforts, ensuring an interdisciplinary lens focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion considerations for all prospective division policy to further effectuate ABA Goal 3. Alongside my law degree at the University of Arizona, I got a master's degree in women's and gender studies. Mom, I'm actually using it now. She still asks, are you really using that? Anyways, I'm really using it. I also wanted to thank the other past speakers who have taken the time out of their busy lives to provide me guidance, insight, and support, particularly Daiquiri Steele and Jamie Davis, They were unfortunately unable to be here due to flight delays and scheduling issues, but I know I have their continued support, and I am grateful for the videos they sent in. Thank you also to Shanique Moss and the other speakers for their kind words and coming to this gavel passing ceremony. I very much look forward to the coming year serving as your division speaker, working with the rest of the division's leaders, past, present, and future, but more importantly, engaging you all, our division members, without whom we really wouldn't be here. I want to consider what matters to you and your lives and your communities in shaping the future policy of the division and the broader ABA. I am also incredibly excited to be working with Daryl Wilson, who is getting a promotion of sorts from parliamentarian and DEI director to clerk. The number of Excel spreadsheets I will be sending you is ridiculous. You can throw them away, it's fine. I feel like I have already talked way too much this week, and I believe lunch is probably outside waiting for us. So without any further ado, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
The help. Scholar Delegate from Missouri, Portia Britt, I move to adjourn.
Thank you. The motion to adjourn has been properly moved and seconded. There's going to be a final question up on your Turning Point voting platform. Please choose your vote now on the motion to adjourn. Yes, no, and abstain. I need my phone to actually tell me to vote. All right, we have 38 yeses and 2 noes. So I don't know who wants to hang out with me the rest of the day, but you've been overruled. The motion to adjourn passes. Go eat lunch, everyone.